Welcome back to the Hands-On channel, where we hang out in the shop here and we talk about all the things we're not supposed to talk about here on YouTube, basically. And I just think it's funny. I'm probably the most shadow banned YouTube creator that I'm aware of that's in this field here that hasn't been completely kicked off of YouTube. But anyway, enough airing of the dirty laundry. I want to talk to you about today's sponsor. It's sponsored by PBR. That's Pabst Blue Ribbon. They're the last American non-woke beer company that's cheap beer that I can still afford after Bidenomics. So thank you to our sponsor here, Pabst Blue Ribbon, PBR. Can't go wrong. Oh yeah, that tastes like America. I love it. Also, we're going to be using our patented anti-communist glasses, and I suggest you get yourself a pair of these so you can see through the they live dystopian nightmare that's all around you if you're willing to look at it. So we're going to get into some heavy news today. Biden's been running his mouth on 60 Minutes. We're going to talk about that interview. We're going to talk about the hospital that blew up today in Gaza. Of course, the Palestinians are saying that it was the Israelis that did it. The Israelis are saying that no, we actually watched it happen. They tried to launch a rocket and it blew up in their face and exploded into all the munitions that were stored underneath the hospital. Now, who stores munitions under hospitals? That's right, terrorists do that because they're trying to use the patients as human shields. So I'm fired up, loaded for bear. Let me get one more sip of this PBR. Yeah, that's good. And let's get into this news. Guys, we're in World War III right now. I know a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, one day they're going to say World War III is coming. I'm telling you, we're already in it right now. We're in the middle of it. And there's so many unknowns and unseen things that most people are unaware of, like what's China up to right now with Taiwan invasion and all this stuff. And the cyber attacks that have been going on throughout our country. And for a while now, they've been trying to blame all that stuff on Russia and stuff to beat the war drum more and more and more and get us more heavily involved in the Russian conflict that's going on over there. But anyway, let's get right into this. Biden's chilling 60-minute interview. His response is a carbon copy of ancient Rome's demise. And if you don't know about ancient Rome, basically in summary, one of the main reasons that they failed was because they spread their military out so thin and they had so much diversity, which is supposedly our strength according to the liberals. They had so much diversity that a lot of these different factions of the Roman Empire couldn't even communicate with each other. So they spread their armies too thin. They couldn't even protect Rome, and eventually Rome fell. So Biden was asked in the 60-minute interview, are the wars in Israel and Ukraine more than the U.S. can handle at the same time? His arrogant response was this. Only Biden could say something like this idiotic. We are the USA, for God's sake, the most powerful nation in the history of the world. We can take care of both of these and still maintain our overall international defense. That's funny that he says that because we're not maintaining our local national defense. Our borders are wide open under his watch. Guys, we're so far up shit creek without a paddle, most people don't even know what to do. We're rudderless. We don't have a sail. We have nothing except this idiot Biden that's blowing bubbles in the water. Next headline. White House has discussed U.S. military response if Hezbollah attacks Israel. So there's all this talk going on right now. A lot of people are saying, I believe it's Jordan, and forgive me, I'm not super knowledgeable on the Middle Eastern regions. The sandbox is kind of what I call that whole area over there, and I can't believe anyone lives there, but a lot of people do. That said, Jordan, I believe, is kind of a proxy of Iran, and Hezbollah certainly is a proxy of Iran. So, yeah. If Iran tries to get involved, then perhaps the United States military should get involved. But as it stands right now, in my opinion, this is a fight that the United States has no reason to be putting troops on the ground or anything like that. That's fine if we want to have a couple of aircraft carriers out there and some destroyers just in case, to send a message to potential other actors that may try to get involved. There's been talk about Iraq and some other places, other countries that are trying to say that, hey, if you do XYZ, Israel, then we will get involved in the war. So the White House has been discussing this, and they're foaming at the bit because every time a new war comes out, you get all the war hawks that come out, on the right and the left, people like Lindsey Graham and, Joe Biden and all his minions, all the people under him. They're all pumping the war drums, and I'm sick and tired of it. We need to be worried about our own country first, and then we can help other people. We'll be in a better position to help other people, right? But they don't look at it that way. They're trying to destroy our country. Biden wants a war. They need a war. The New World Order needs the United States to be defeated in war before they can implement their full agenda in 2030. So the Pentagon doesn't deny 2,000 U.S. troops are given prepare to deploy orders to support Israel in the war with Hamas. So they've got 2,000 U.S. troops on standby. I heard rumor earlier, I couldn't confirm this, but some people are saying it's 20,000, not 2,000. So get ready. This is World War III. It's going to be a multi-headed war. We're going to be fighting Russia in defense of Ukraine, supposedly. And really, it's not about Ukraine at all. It has to do with our interests and our money and people being able to use Ukraine and now Israel to launder the United States taxpayer dollars. That's how these politicians get rich. Iraq's Kataib Hezbollah vows to target U.S. bases if Washington aids Israel. So they're making threats. They're posturing. They're saying, hey, we're standing on the side of Hamas. We're not on your side, even though you've been giving us all this aid. And probably this guy, I don't know the history of it because I kind of quit following it after the big war in Iraq back in the day. But I bet this guy, Kataib Hezbollah, is probably a United States CIA plant. He probably works for us, and he's out there threatening. Now, it may be an empty threat like a lot of these, but it may not be. They may be serious. They may be ready to declare a worldwide jihad on all Westerners. And that's what it seems like is happening. And it's unfortunate that many places, the United States to a lesser degree, but Europe especially, have imported tons of these Islamists that maybe not all of them are bad, but a lot of them are. And you can't do that and expect to have a society. A civilized society. If you want to go to war all the time when you step out your front door to try to go to the grocery store, then yeah, I guess you could do that. It's all part of the UN's replacement migration plan. There I go. I had to say it, and now my video has been shadow banned. So help me spread the word, guys. If you know people that are like-minded like us that are concerned about what's going on in the world and not some stupid football player and how much he sweats during each, play or whatever, or what, I don't know how fast he ran the 40 in college or whatnot. We don't give a shit about that stuff because that doesn't help our lives. Learning about your enemies is going to help your lives. Know your enemy. Know your enemy. It comes from The Art of War. Check it out. And of course, Biden is not playing by the rules of The Art of War. He's showing the enemy everything we've got and putting everything on the line. I didn't write it up here in my report, but a lot of talk is coming out now about how we don't even have enough weapons in our own surplus, our own supplies here in the United States, in our own arsenal, because we've been giving them all to Ukraine. Now, there was an army general or something that's saying, hey, Biden, slow your roll, because if you give these, we're not going to have enough to defend ourselves with this Israeli thing going on as well. And Biden doesn't care. He wants to destroy the United States of America. That's why he was inserted. That's why he was selected to do it, because he's a senile old guy and he gets away with a lot of stuff because of that. I need another sip of this beer. This shit's pissing me off. I don't know if you guys are as mad as I am about this stuff, but this is insanity. And this would have never happened. The Hamas attack on Israel would have never happened if Donald Trump had been elected in 2020. Am I the biggest Trump fan in the world? No, hell no. There's lots of things he did wrong, but I'm just stating the facts. When you have a confident, powerful, resisting type president these kinds of wars don't happen. And they didn't happen, even though the left screamed at the top of their lungs that if Donald Trump got elected, World War III was going to happen. And now it's them. It's happening under them, and they're not screaming. That's the hypocrisy of the left, and I get sick and tired of having to live with it. Unbelievable. Iran warns of preemptive action against Israel. Iran's guard commander warns of another shockwave if Israel does not end the atrocities. So it's atrocities when Israel defends itself against an attack, against Hamas. But it's like they're calling a safety or a timeout or something right in the middle. After they go and do their shit, they go in, they send their paragliders in, and they send their boats in, and they send their troops in through the open border that they punched a hole through, and they do all this stuff and attack Israel. And then after that, they're like, time out, no, ceasefire, we want peace. Why are you doing this? It's BS. It's all designed to pull at the heartstrings of these bleeding heart liberals that are going to be like, oh, the Palestinians, oh, they're so oppressed, all this. Complete BS. And I can't help but just shake my head at the irony of the LGBTQ community and people from that community supporting people that would cut their heads off if they had the chance. Unbelievable. Or set them on fire, burn them alive. That's one of the things they like to do. I mean, we're talking about atrocities, monsters. If any atrocities happened, it was the babies being decapitated and stuff like that, and people being burned alive during the initial attack on Israel at the concert and stuff like that. Unbelievable. Israel delay in ground invasion of Gaza prompts speculation. So one of the speculations was people were saying that because Biden is going in there to visit, which that's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down. Why is he going in there now? That's just going to stir up the hornet's nest. But anyway, again, this is a guy that's hell-bent on the destruction of the United States of America as founded. So what do you expect? Oh, that's going down easy today. Report. Biden administration to ask Congress for another $100 billion to fund Ukraine and Israel at the same time. So about a week ago or so, I heard Biden say, we're going to work on a deal where we're combining the Ukrainian and Israeli aid money together. And that's because the American people were getting tired of watching a bad return on investment happen over and over and over in Ukraine. They were getting tired of it. They were starting to call their representatives and their senators and stuff and saying, hey, you need to cut off this Ukrainian money. Well, that got back to Biden's office, and he's like, no, we can't turn off this free money machine here. We can't do that. We've got to buy weapons for all of our enemies all around the world and stuff like that and leave them behind in Afghanistan, right? So he's trying to combine the aid. Now, I've heard several other people. Jeffries down here at the bottom of the page. Jeffries said today, we should have a comprehensive linking of Israel and Ukraine money. So now all the other Democrat puppets are starting to say the same thing that Biden said last week. So Biden's Middle Eastern trip is upended by Gaza hospital strike. I guess they had to divert or move him somewhere else. And I'm blown away that he's doing this. The only reason I can see him doing this is because he wants to stir up the hornet's nest, piss everybody off, try to make Iran get involved in this. Because if they can, that's going to turn on the free money tap to all of their special interests. All of these weapons manufacturers are just sitting there rubbing their greedy little hands together saying, yeah, more war. And it's unbelievable that there has been such a shift that, I remember back during George W. Bush and Iraq and all this, a lot of people were, anti-war. A lot of leftists, all the leftists as far as I know, were strongly anti-war. But now the silence is deafening. So Hezbollah announced a unprecedented day of anger against Israel. And that's right at the time Biden is visiting. Again, stirring up the hornet's nest. They want Hezbollah to get involved. After blast kills hundreds at Gaza hospital, Hamas and Israel trade blame as rage spreads in the region. So again, one side saying they did it, the other side saying they did it. Now, in the fog of war, it's hard to tell, but Israel says they saw it on satellite, on radar, or whatever. They saw it happen. So I don't know. Could have been them. They could have been lying. I'm reminded that in a lot of ways, Israel is not to be trusted. What was it? The USS Liberty. Go look that up. When Israel attacked the USS Liberty, and they knew it was an American ship, and they attacked it anyway. Can you trust them? No. They have their own version of the CIA called the Mossad. And, I'm reminded of something else. Hopefully this doesn't get me banned, but you probably won't find much about it here on YouTube. But go look up the Dancing Israelis sometime and check that out and see how our number one ally is not necessarily our number one ally. They had the biggest spy network of any other ally in the United States at the time. So, I don't know. Lots of wild things to speculate about. Lots of conspiracy theories surrounding that. So, last story here on the Israeli-Hamas war. Israel denies involvement in Gaza blast, claiming explosion caused by a misfired Palestinian rocket. And that's the other thing that I saw. Several of them were showing that they're setting these rocket launchers up and they don't always work. Sometimes they go bad and they go bang in the tube, right? And when that happens, if you've got a whole stockpile of munitions and gunpowder around you, then you're going to go boom and the whole building is going to go boom. And that's apparently what happened. Unfortunate, because apparently it killed like 500 people. And I'm sure a lot of them were probably women and children, and, babies even. And that's terrible when something like that happens. But Israel gave them every chance. Of course, Hamas, being the evil bastards that they are, blocked the exits. So even the women and children were being blocked. They set up blockades, roadblocks and stuff, so that people couldn't leave the country. And of course, your wonderful neighbors, Egypt and Jordan and all these other countries around there. Lebanon was one I was trying to think of earlier. They're all blocking the exits. They're saying, you can't come here. We're not taking any refugees in. See, Biden's going to swoop in and say, oh, the United States will take all these poor, innocent Palestinian refugees in, and then we'll have generations of terrorists growing up here. Of course, all that crap started when Barack Obama and Joe Biden was his vice president were in power. They started importing people that don't have America's best interests at heart. We don't have a shared religious moral base or value system. So, this was all a setup by Barack Obama and Joe Biden back in the day. And now he's finishing us off. So let's get into the Ukraine war, because that's still going on. We got to spend hundreds of billions of dollars and send more money over there for them, obviously, because we're in World War III. Ukraine is finished. Russia claims Ukraine lost 90,000 casualties in the meat grinder. That counter surge, what did they call it? Counteroffensive or something like that. I can't recall what Ukraine was calling it, but it was a complete disaster. They lost 90,000 casualties. To put that into perspective, the U.S. National Archives shows that 58,220 U.S. soldiers perished in Vietnam. So all of Vietnam, we only lost just under 60,000 soldiers, which is a lot. That's heavy. Russia is saying, now you got to take it with a grain of salt, because it could be partial misinformation. But even if it's not as high as 90, if it's 60 or 80,000, that's incredible losses for them trying to go in and take back territories and stuff. And, there's a lot of dynamics to that story. There's a lot of Russians that are pro-Russia in Ukraine. And I don't think most Westerners here in the United States realize that, because we don't know this. We don't live there. But that's kind of what's going on. There are Nazis there called the Azov Battalion, and they wear Nazi symbols. Far as I can tell, they are Nazis. Putin said he was going in to denazify the Ukraine, and so far that looks like exactly what is happening. And Russia has been pushing hard. So this is a historical moment, because Ukraine is now using autonomous AI killer drones. So they've got these drones that they set free, and they punch in, whatever and they say, hey, kill the Russian or whatever, and it goes and does it automatically. I mean, that is scary Terminator shit. Unbelievable. And they probably got it from the United States of America. Or maybe Britain. Ukraine uses American ATACMS for the first time. And they claim devastating strikes on Russian airfields. And they probably are devastating strikes. Not good. Everything that we see in Ukraine, every bit of posturing that the United States makes in Ukraine and giving them more and more weapons, these ATACMS, American ATACMS, that's sending a message to Putin saying, hey, this is the United States of America. That's sending a message to the Russian people. And if you believe the polls, apparently Putin has the highest rating out of all the other leaders in the world, let's just say, not free world necessarily, because I don't think Russia is completely free. Obviously, they've got a lot of problems, but he's claiming to be anti-Nazi, pro-Christian. He's definitely anti-globalist. Putin didn't play ball when all the rest of Europe was moving in, all of these refugees, as they call them, Islamists, that are hell-bent on doing a jihad on every country they go to. Again, it's one thing if people want to move in and they want to assimilate to the United States, or they want to assimilate to Europe, or England, or whatever, or Russia even. But these people don't do that. They come in and set up their own little counterculture, and they're anti-American. And they shouldn't be allowed here, in my opinion. And Russia was smart enough, Putin was smart enough to cut that shit off at the legs. So Putin clearly came out against the global replacement population, what's it called, replacement migration plan that the UN has. And he's one of the few leaders in the world that actually stood up against that. And so that's the reason that, you're not hearing about all these terrorist attacks happening inside Russia's borders, right? He's also very anti-LGBTQ, and so that pisses off all the lefties. That's why you're seeing all the knives out for Putin, and that's why they've been out for, 2.5 years now or whatever. Pretty much ever since Biden came in, because that was the plan all along. I'm convinced that's been the Democrat plan, that they don't really talk about it. Hillary mentioned it when she was running against Trump, that if Russia did XYZ, she was going to unleash the United States military on them and declare war on Russia. So the Democrats have been wanting war with Russia for a long, long time. Unbelievable. I was researching something the other day, and I came across an archive where before 9/11, if this story is true, before 9/11, Putin reached out to George W. Bush and said, hey, Bush, I'm getting all kinds of chatter on the waves here, on the airwaves, that's saying that they're going to do something big in the United States of America. There's going to be a terrorist attack in the United States of America. So supposedly, Putin warned George W. Bush about it before 9/11 happened. Now, what W. Bush did with that information remains to be seen. I'm not allowed to talk about that. It's another one of those topics that I'll get banned immediately if I discuss my beliefs about 9/11 on this platform. So, moving on. We're in trouble, guys. World War III has commenced already. I don't know at what point in history. They'll probably say, it depends on the victors, but most likely they'll say Russia invading Ukraine was the beginning of World War III. That'll be our, what was the guy's name? Ferdinand. That'll be our Prince Ferdinand moment, or what? Was he Archduke Ferdinand? Yeah. That'll be our moment that they link in history in the future. They'll say, yeah, when Russia invaded Ukraine, that was it. But really, truth be told, the United States of America, Victoria Nuland, George Soros, lots of other globalists caused Russia to invade Ukraine. So, oh man, we're in a lot of trouble. As far as prepping up goes, you better be doing it. You better be getting all your basics, your foods, your ammo. You better be practiced up on your equipment, The good old days of the United States of America are over. At least for now. And we're at that point right now where weak men are creating hard times. Now, maybe eventually strong men will come back in after we collapse and everything, but that's what's happening. in the world. You know, I mean, World War III. I was hoping that that would happen long after I died, but, you know, looks like it's happening now. And so you better prepare yourself. Buy anything you need now, because you probably won't be able to afford it in the future, including gasoline. I think gasoline is going to explode, especially if Iran gets involved in this World War III we're going through right now. And I have no reason to think they wouldn't. Of course they're going to get involved. So hang on, guys. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Go out and have as much fun as you can. That's the other thing, because the good times are over. Anyway, I stand for liberty. I hope you do too.